Hello, welcome to the Drew Kiger Golf Blog. Today I want to talk about your bunker game and how you can get better getting out of the sand. It's one of the toughest shots in golf. It's also one of the easiest shots in golf. It depends on who you ask. You ask the Pro Tour players out there, it's the easiest shot in golf because you have the most room for error. Meaning you can hit a couple of inches behind the ball, 2 inches behind the ball, and then the ball still goes an appropriate distance. So you can really mess it up a little bit and still hit a pretty decent shot. It's the hardest shot in golf because if you don't know how to approach it, let's say you're a beginner golfer, it can be very difficult. So I'm going to show you a couple things that'll help you in establishing a good bunker game and starting out, and also some advanced techniques that'll help you along the way if you're more of an advanced golfer. So one of the first things you always hear in the bunker is you have to use the bounce. What is the bounce? The bounce is the difference between the leading edge and the trailing edge. So if the club's sitting straight up and down, you can see there's the trailing edge, there's the leading edge, and there's an angle there. This one's about 9 degrees of bounce. The more degree of bounce on your wedge, the more it's going to kick off the sand and literally bounce, because the trailing edge is going to hit this big massive part back here, is going to hit and bounce off the sand a little bit quicker. So in softer sand you want to use more bounce. In hard packed sand you want to use less bounce. Today this is very hard packed sand. This is a 58 degree wedge with 9 degrees of bounce. It has a little less bounce on it, so it makes it easier for me to dig into the sand and get underneath the golf ball. So with that in mind, there's two types of bunker players. Okay? One type needs to have the club face open to establish more bounce. Another type needs to have the club face square. Okay? To help you know who you are, I'm going to give you some tips here. The guy that needs it open typically has more swing speed, has a sharper descending blow, and keeps his weight on his left foot throughout the strike. The person that needs a little bit more dig or a square club face is a person with a slower swing speed. If your swing speed is below 90 miles per hour, you need to set up with a square club face. Also, if you have more of a shallow swing, if you have more of your weight staying on your back foot, it's hard for you to dig underneath the sand, you need a square club face because you're not going to be able to use the bounce properly with those going on. So it's actually going to be easier for you to set up to this shot with a square club face. So with that in mind, I'll show you some drills here starting off with that'll help you get a better golf game regardless of which one you are, and then show you how to set up if you're an open face bunker player versus a square club face bunker player. So with that in mind, both techniques are relatively similar in how you approach the shot, except for the open club face or the square club face. The body is also going to be aligned a little bit differently, but the technique is very similar. To start out with, you got to make sure the club is sitting in the base of your fingers or more towards your fingers, because you're going to need wrist hinge in this shot. The club has to get vertical and hinge the wrist in order to splash down into the sand. You've got to get it going in more of a V shape. So you're going to need those wrists to hinge, oily wrist, up and down. You're going to need to hinge those wrists. Notice my right arm hinges pretty quickly too, because you want that club to get up sharply so that it can descend sharply into the bunker. Okay? You've got to dig down in there to get underneath the ball. In this shot, the sand sends the ball out, not the ball itself. You're going to be hitting the sand first, and the ball's going to come out on a cushion of sand. So after we do that, we get our V-type motion where we're hinging our wrist up, slapping down. Notice I have a line here. The purpose of the line when you practice, you get your V going up and spank down on the sand. You want to make sure you're hitting the line and forward. You never want to hit behind the line. It's a good drill to do. Once we put a ball there, it's going to be a little bit easier for us if we start by hitting this line. You have to be really consistent in the bunker where you hit the sand. If you hit too far behind the ball, that's going to be tough. Too far in front of the ball, it's going to be tough. You want to be consistent where you enter the sand. So just to recap, get the wrist hinging quicker, spank down and through the sand line there, making sure your weight stays forward and that divot stays in front as well. Okay? With that in mind, that's a good drill to practice to get yourself repetitive in the bunker, hitting the same spot every time. The next thing we're going to do we're going to go over the setups for the open face bunker player and the square club face bunker player. In the open face, the reason we do this with higher swing speeds, the club tends to dig underneath the golf ball too much. We need the bounce to eliminate the digging underneath. We want to be aggressive, hit down and through, but the bounce keeps it from digging too far underneath the ball. So if you have a higher swing speed, if you are hinging the wrist and spanking down nicely at the right spot, you will need to have an open club face. So I open up the club face. It's going to open up before I take my grip. I open it up to about 1 o'clock on the clock. This is 12 o'clock, about 1 o'clock. And as you can see, when I do that, when I open the club face, I've actually gotten more of the bounce at a steeper angle. So this bounce is going to hit more and bounce into the sand, as opposed to if I have it like this, I've actually got no bounce. It's almost a flat sole and it digs. Okay, so that's really important. We open it up to 1 o'clock, take our grip, all right? Then we aim the club face at about 1 o'clock. Now, if I aim my body to 1 o'clock, I'm going to miss the shot off to the right. You want to actually aim your body about 11 o'clock. The ball position should be about two balls forward to middle. Think about if you hit the middle of your stance every time when you take a regular pitch shot. On a sand shot, you're going to hit the ground in the same spot, and you want that ball to be about 2 balls forward to middle if you have a higher swing speed. So we got it there. And it's also depending on where you enter the sand. You can move it a little bit further forward if you're entering the sand too close to the ball, and you can move it a little bit further back if you're entering the sand too far behind the ball. So it's depending on the player. Open club face, all right, going to 1 o'clock, feet going to 11 o'clock. I'm aiming about 2 balls behind it. This is that V swing. It's about a 3/4 swing, V to V. There we go. Not bad there. And then next, you can see in the hard packed sand there, I got a lot of bounce. Came out just a little bit thin because I didn't dig in enough. Hard packed sand, that's going to tend to happen. And if you have hard packed sand, it's probably a good idea to square the club face so that you can dig underneath the ball a little bit better. So in this particular shot, this is your square club face bunker play. I'm going to have the club face square. I'm going to have the ball sitting about 2 balls forward as well. But my swing speed, you can't have as big of a swing speed as before because the club face now has a little less loft on it. And you're going to have to swing maybe just a little bit less, and the ball's going to come out a little bit lower. But you'll notice you get a little bit better dig underneath the golf ball. Especially for you that are catching this ball thin with a ka-kunk sound, you need to switch to a square club face setup so that you get more of a thump and it stays in the sand longer. That ka-kunk is literally the club bouncing into the ball. You need to switch to more of a square club face at address. So we have that club face nice and square. Ball's a little bit forward in our stance. We're still going to do our V. We're still going to hit 2 inches behind the ball. V, V. Get a little bit more of a dig underneath the golf ball. So that's going to help you out. I want you guys to try that out at home. I'm going to hit a couple more shots for you, and I hope that helps you out. I hope you enjoyed today's blog post, and you come check me out at the Drew Kiger blog. It's drewkiger.wordpress.com, or check us out at Dana Rader Golf School at www.danarader.com. You can also check me out on Twitter, Andrew Kiger PGA. I'll be happy to respond to you or even answer any of your questions. Appreciate you watching, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this one pretty close this time. Open up the club face. Nice little V, hit a couple inches behind the ball. There we go. That'll help you out.